Good morning and welcome to Coffee with the Coach. I'm Tony DiGuida and this is Dr. Milu.
Good morning, Tony. How are you?
I am well, and yourself?
I am doing fabulous. How about that? It's Valentine's month.
It's Valentine's month, and how apropos that today we're talking about love.
Yes.
As you can see, the love is on my cup.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit more about your definition of love, Tony.
My definition of love. Well, you know, love is something that we all have. We can't get enough of. We sometimes think we're starving for it, but it's all inside. We just have to express it. And the more love that we share, the more love that we get. My definition of love is whenever it comes to love, I think of children, you know, and the love of your child is one kind of love that seems to me to be unsurpassed. I don't know if you could say there's different depths of love, but the love for a child, I think that connectedness that you have is an undying love. It's nothing can ever change it. You know, I see these criminals that go to jail, you know, in the news every day. And I say, well, at least their mother loves them. And it's still real. She still does, but it hurts. It probably hurts more than anything. And I guess my definition of love is it's an emotion that is unlike any other that you possess. It is stronger than fear. And I think fear is probably our strongest emotion. What is your definition of love?
Well, the definition of love to me is the only thing that we have is love. There is nothing more than that. If you don't have love, you have nothing. So the connotation of what we just mentioned, fear, is the negative side of love. Means we fear, and if we change it to positive, we love. So the mindset of love is embedded into one thing, that if you just nurture love, in your life, there is nothing else needed. So love is life. So just think about for a second. At the end, what matters?
The love that you shared with the people in your life.
Yeah. At the end, that is only thing left. Because just imagine that at the end, you may have a big bank account, you may have a beautiful house or multiple of them, you may have that fanciest car you bought, but at the end, what is left? When you are crossing the line and moving on, what is left?
Well, if there are no people around you to see you off, it was a very sad existence.
Yeah.
And that means you have to come back and do it again because you didn't do it right.
Exactly.
It's interesting that you say fear is the opposite of love, because I believe that fear is a natural instinct of survival back in our earliest days in caveman to survive the fear of flight is what kept you alive. Um, I don't know if love would have saved me from that Tyrannosaurus Rex.
You are talking about making a Tyrannosaurus as a pet, which would be a challenging aspect, definitely, but not fear.
If I shared him the love, would he not eat me?
Well, uh, overcoming the fear have made us stay here longer, right? So going back to love, how powerful it is. Some people live their entire life without finding the right love, without finding the love, or without nurturing the love they already have.
Probably the biggest point there.
Mhm. This four-letter word exists in our life for a reason, because that's exactly what we are here for. If we do that, our theory of we becomes true. Theory of we means we are not individuals surviving by ourselves. We are in a society of other loving beings. So the theory of we becomes true if we can spread the love and nurture that word every single day.
Probably one of the best ways to do that is to be present in each moment whenever you can. And if you are alone, walking through nature is a good way to feel the love around just the beauty of nature. And when you're with others that are important to you, instead of thinking about what might have happened in the past, or think about what may happen in the future, to be present with them in that moment, and you'll feel the love and it'll last so much longer. It's funny, whatever you have, a big party, there's a lot of people around and you're preparing for the party, and if you're hosting it or not, the evening seems to go so fast because you're always thinking about what next. But if you just slow down and enjoy the time you have with each person in the room, the evening goes on for much longer, it feels. It's always, whenever there's a lot of people, it seems like you're moving from one person to the next and saying hello and doing this and doing that, and not spending quality time with them. And if you spend that quality time, the evening will last much longer and you'll get so much more out of it. So, expressing the love, I'm about to feel a new kind of love. I don't think I told you this.
Wow. Tell me.
I'm about to feel the love of a grandparent.
Fantastic.
Yes, my child is about to have a child.
Congratulations.
And I hear that love is like no other. I hear that it's even better than when you had a child, which I can't imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
So I'm excited and looking forward to this.
yes, you should be. And it reminds me a quote by Dr. Seuss, who to talk about and quote, "You know you are in love when you can't fall asleep because reality is finally better than your dream. How that quote sound to you?
So that, did you say that is when you cannot fall asleep?
Mm-hmm. When reality is better than your dreams. As you
Well, that is fabulous. I like that.
as you know, we have a module that focuses on dream. And dream is one of the most strongest unconscious area of mind where we dream. We dream big. We dream a lot of things, right? To achieve in life and all those other things. But when your reality becomes better than your dream, think about that for a second. Reality becomes better than your dream. How that make you feel?
You don't want to miss it. You want to stay awake.
Mhm.
You don't want to go to sleep.
Well, just imagine that feeling, because we dream, and dream is biggest, right? We can dream as big as we want to because it's
We
possible.
do not control our dreams. Our dreams are created within our subconscious,
Mhm. Unconscious,
our unconscious.
right? And
So we
eventually,
know not, we can't control what we're going to see.
mhm, we cannot, because that's unconscious. In subconscious, we categorized it so we can make sense of it. So in that zone, you can dream, and many of the other quotes from many different people, dream as big as you can, right? But if your reality becomes better than that, is surprising, is fabulous, is the feeling of love. That's what we are talking about. So that quote speaks to me, and I'm pretty sure it's speaking to you.
Dr. Seuss was always one of my favorites, but had not ever heard that quote.
Yeah, yeah. And let me remind you again, quote, you know you are in love when you can't fall asleep because reality is finally better than your dreams.
And was that in a book or in an interview?
I don't know that, but this is one of his quotes.
Hmm, that's interesting. I've not heard that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I had all my old Dr. Seuss books.
Mhm. Well, if you just imagine that feeling of reality is better than dream.
Well, I have felt that way, and it's not the expensive cars that I have, and because I don't have any, I don't seek any. I don't have um, a wealth that allows me to do whatever I want, but I don't want for anything. I have felt very blessed, and I have felt much love in my life, fortunately. So to bring in more is just keep the love coming.
Exactly,
I,
exactly.
I I am not on Facebook anymore. The only one who posts on my Facebook is you and Vino and Vision
Yes,
because the virtual love that I get from Facebook is not where I want to spend my time.
right, right.
I want to spend my time in reality with the people around me.
Mhm. Yes,
And I and that's just my choice. It's nice to stay in touch with old friends, but I think when I signed off of Facebook, my last post said, "If you're my friend, do you know how to pick up the phone and call me? Because I'd rather speak to you."
yes. So you have different methods of communication, and Facebook is one of them. So it's in all days, you write, and mail a letter, a personal touch. People from distance, you cannot have that face-to-face interaction. You keep the personal touch by writing. And with Facebook, you have a better way of communicating. So it's how you use it compared to how you don't use it, right? So, but in the love discussion, you know, we are here for love. And if we don't have love, we don't have nothing. When I say that statement, just imagine a life without love. And love have many different definitions and many different angles. So if you look at these angles, and you will see loving is a nature of caring. And you will feel that you are in love when you feel it. It's an internal drive. And to experience that, you have to be caring as well. Remember my theory about giving without the expectation of return, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love requires return. Love requires return. It's a two-way street. As we give, as we receive, right?
Well,
And
in my favorite, go ahead.
and that's where the theory breaks down to how that without the expectation of return makes it more powerful. Just think about that. Because the expectation of return keeps us away from love, even though love requires an equal return. And that's when we have all these divorces happen, because we are looking for equal return. If I am
Interesting,
loving
yeah.
you, and I am loving you, why you cannot love me? And that's the equilibrium that we are trying to stay. And that's where
It seems to be a very human expectation to get something back for what you give. It's from the old bartering systems from business. There should be something in it for me if there's something in it for you. And to give without the expectation of return is truly to show your love. And it's the easiest thing to do. It's easy to walk down the street and say good morning to somebody, hello to somebody, and give them a smile without expecting them to smile back. And if they're busy and they walk away, you needn't think anything of that, because then you're expecting something back.
Right. I think you attended one of my presentation that I did in worldwide technology, if I remember it right.
Yes.
You have seen there, I made a speech about transactional versus transformational relationship. The example of transactional relationship is just that, is transaction-based relationship. I give, you give, and that's what become a transaction. Transformational relationship, on the other hand, is the relationship that is based on love, and the relationship that is based on without the expectation of return. An example I showed in that presentation in worldwide technology is a movie.
Are you going down the river?
That's not the one. I'm talking about Jerry Maguire movie.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay.
Do you remember it now? So Jerry
I do,
Maguire,
yes.
when they are saying, you see the verbals and non-verbals on that movie. So it's a movie world have caught up with love pretty well, as you know. But Jerry Maguire saying to love of his life. And that is statement, you can play the YouTube or whatnot and see. And the lady stops him and saying, hush, you had me at hello. And you just then see the interaction between those two in presence of a group of other people there. It becomes one-on-one conversation, even though there is people sitting there. When you look at that, you see the example of transformational relationship, when one transforms the other. And it shows verbal, it shows physical and non-verbal, and it becomes one-on-one conversation. And I give example of one-to-many, one-to-one, and one-to-many. All this can become one-to-one conversation. You can be talking to millions of people, but you feel like one with them. So that's the very good example of transformational relationship of that Jerry Maguire movie. I played it on my presentation. Hopefully some people took some lesson out of it. How transformational compared to transactional relationship look like. And when you have that love-based relationship, which is transformational relationship with anything and anybody that you experience in life, then you have achieved your dream plus more. Then you are living a life of more than your dream. And that's the life worth of living.
My favorite quote is, and in the end, the love you give is equal to the love you get. Probably John Lennon or Paul McCartney. Not sure which one wrote that.
Mm-hmm. At the end, the love you get is equal to the love you gave. So imagine that. And if you remove that expectation of return, you may have given a lot of love. And it will be overwhelming return to you.
So just keep giving it. Share the love each day with those you know and those you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Smile, say hello, make the world a better place just by you walking down the street.
And understanding the true definition of love. Hopefully that was a good conversation for some people. You know, I do a lot of relationship coaching. You know, it goes back to relational dimension. That's where we are in Vino and Vision right now. And it's after self-love, you nurture the love. Means you have to be perfected on self-love, right? Without loving yourself, if you have a hate-based relationship with yourself, then you will not be able to love anybody because you are not loving yourself. So it starts with including you and then become including everybody else.
So if you are that person on the other end of this screen who feels lonely and feels that they don't have enough love in their life, what would you say to help them start moving forward with a new approach?
Just remove that expectation.
Give.
First master the self-love, understand yourself, have that positive value of yourself, who you are. You may have touched many lives that you have not even realized that you have left positive impact. You may have, and giving a simple example, you may have donated $10 to something that somebody got that $10 from your donation, improved somebody's beginning, and that person may be succeeded many, many times in life just because that little touch you had. You may not remember, you just
You may
donated
not
that.
know.
You may not know because, and that's the, without the expectation of return means you did not expect anything, you just gave. And it's not all about giving, it's called relating,
Connecting.
connecting. So when you remove that expectation of return and you do kind things, you do loving things to all of the world and more, and you just said that, Tony, you will get even more or get the same back, and which could be overwhelming. And by doing so, you have no expectation, and if you get one back, that's more than what you had. So true definition of love is remove the expectation, and I do relational coaching where we talk about expectation and how you expect from others to love you, others to value you, others to all those other things. And when you remove that expectation, it's about you giving, contributing. And if you have that mindset and no expectation, if you get one return, you have already made to the positive side. And if that and return continue to come, but if you don't have any expectation, that's just positive and positive.
So love yourself enough to see the person in the mirror for who they are beneath their past and see the positive sides of yourself, to love yourself enough that you can then pass on love to others.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
the more you
without the
give, the more you'll get.
and just remove that expectation, because that expectation is a win-lose situation. Win-win situation is where you don't have any expectation, and if you win one, you still win one.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we've had a very nice session today. And our next session will be the first Tuesday in March. And what will be our subject that we'll be talking about?
Happiness. Actually, we are, let me pause there. It's not happiness. We're going to go back to aspiration, because love, because we celebrate in February, we break from our modules and then we come back to start our modules again. So it will be the aspiration where we will be doing menu of my life. And then it will move to vision, and then it will be going to dream, and it will go that way until we have love again. So
this is all, the Vino and Vision platform is all about the pursuit of happiness in your life and bringing more happiness in your life by knowing yourself better, understanding who you are and what motivates you, to then put out your energies in the fashion of delivering that into your own life. So finding your aspirations, finding the things that you aspire to be and have in your life is the first step.
yes. With that in mind, we will see you next time, and I think it's going to be March 1st.
And I will be broadcasting from afar. So I will look forward to seeing you then.
Where you going to be?
We shall see.
Okay, as long as you're not in and from broadcasting from Mars, we'll be okay.
Oh, it'll be on this planet and it'll be in a lovely place.
Fantastic.
We'll talk to you then.
Spread the love, Tony.
Spread the love. Have a great